you need to improve your level of English before taking CELPIP, stay right here. We're now going to discuss how to set up a study schedule that meets your needs. Now remember that everyone will need a different amount of time to prepare. But regardless of this, setting up a simple timeline can be a great way to keep track of your progress and make sure that you don't miss any important dates. How and when you study depends a lot on your personal situation. If you've got a full-time job or a family to help support, you may not have much time to prepare, except for an hour or two every few evenings. Or maybe you've got lots of free time and therefore can review during the day for longer periods of time. Regardless of your circumstances, it's important that you set up a preparation schedule and stick to it. Structuring this well can help you maintain a balanced lifestyle and reduce stress as you prepare. It can be really helpful to plan out your next week, or even month, beforehand to make sure that you've built in enough time to prepare. For example, if your weeks are fairly open, you might want to set up a calendar like this. Notice how this person has marked off an hour or two every weekday to practice their English? Regular practice is really important. Or maybe your weeks are just too busy to accommodate much test preparation, and you can only do so on weekends. In that case, maybe you'd set up a schedule like this. In this case, notice how the test taker has set aside a couple hours on the Saturday and Sunday in which they can practice their English. Of course, I want to mention once more, each test taker will be coming with a different level of English proficiency, so what they'll actually be studying may differ. One person may decide to take some English classes at a local school, another may be focusing on just improving their speaking skills. If you're first beginning to prepare for the CELPIP test, or any test for that matter, you may not be sure where to start. How much time should you spend preparing? When do you need to begin? Can you just wait until the night before? In the next couple videos, we're going to discuss these questions and help you figure out a preparation schedule that works for you. And the answer to that last question, by the way, is no. Now, the thing I want to emphasize is that CELPIP does not require any memorization. Instead, it assesses your general English proficiency. That's something that you just can't improve in a day. As with learning any language, improving your level of English takes work, patience, and time. The CELPIP test is designed and administered by Paragon Testing Enterprises, a subsidiary of the University of British Columbia, which is where the test was originally designed. There are two versions of CELPIP, the CELPIP General and the CELPIP General LS. Let's talk about their various uses. The CELPIP General test is primarily intended for people who wish to immigrate to Canada and are applying for permanent residency, or PR. In the CELPIP General, you will be assessed on your listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills. On the other hand, the CELPIP General LS test is primarily intended for people who are applying for Canadian citizenship. I should mention that the LS in CELPIP General LS stands for listening and speaking, which are the two language skills this test measures. The CELPIP test is the only Canadian language test accepted as evidence of English language proficiency by Immigration Refugees in Citizenship Canada. People also take the test to satisfy professional or employment requirements. Regardless of your purpose for taking the CELPIP test, the design and format remains the same. The CELPIP is 100% Canadian designed and only uses North American accents and vocabulary in verbal instructions and in the listening passages. Unlike other tests, you will not hear other English accents or expressions, such as those common in England and Australia. The CELPIP is also 100% computer delivered, which means you will complete the entire test on the computer, including the speaking component. The total time of the CELPIP General test is around 3 hours, and is completed in one test sitting. The total time of the General LS test is around 1 hour 10 minutes, and it's also completed in one test sitting. Okay, let's consider what kind of language the CELPIP test assesses. It's important to know that it measures general English language proficiency, which is the kind of language used in everyday communication. The CELPIP is designed to measure your ability to communicate in a range of everyday contexts and for a wide variety of purposes. For example, there are many communicative tasks we need to do on a daily basis in order to get around and get things done, such as asking for directions, applying for a job, or joining a group. We may also need to communicate with people in the community, with representatives of organizations, or with colleagues in the workplace. I should also mention that your CELPIP level aligns with the Canadian Language Benchmarks, or CLBs, which is a national standard for describing, measuring, and recognizing the language proficiency of adult immigrants to Canada. So when you get your score on the CELPIP, you'll know how it aligns with the CLBs as well. Now let's discuss the format of the CELPIP General Test, which is divided into 4 sections, each one assessing one of the main language skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Remember that the CELPIP General LS test has the exact same format here, but you will only see the listening and speaking sections in that test. In the listening and reading sections, you will answer a variety of questions that assess your understanding of the passages. The listening section takes about 47 to 55 minutes to complete, and the reading section about 55 to 60 minutes. You'll read and listen to information on various topics. Sometimes there will be one person speaking, such as in a news report. However, you'll also listen to 2 or more people talking about a challenge or a difficult situation. Reading passages include diagrams and shorter texts, like messages or emails, and longer compositions with multiple paragraphs and different viewpoints. Questions in these sections will ask you to consider specific details and general meaning, or they will require you to make inferences based on what the speakers or writers say. We will discuss the various kinds of questions in these sections later on in the program. In the writing and speaking sections, you'll be provided with various situations that require you to produce language. You may be asked to explain an experience you've had, request something from someone, express your opinion, describe images of objects or people, provide suggestions, or communicate other ideas. You'll be given 53 to 60 minutes to complete the writing section and 15 to 20 minutes for speaking. Later in Accelerate, we'll examine the various tasks and types of questions for each section in much more detail. Okay, before we move on, let's discuss how the results of the CELPIP test will be provided to you. The good news is that you will not have to wait long for the results. After you complete the test, your score report will be available to you within 5 calendar days.